What's up YouTube, welcome back. So today back on the 180, Valino 180 here at the Valino garage. Today we are doing a wheel alignment. So this is something you can do just at home. You don't need to take it to a shop and spend lots of money to get a wheel alignment. I have been known to use my trusty iPhone for camber. Caster is a little bit different, that's a little bit hard, but you can sort of guess it quite easily. So today I'll take you around doing a wheel alignment. What you'll need is a tape measure, tools to adjust your arms, whatever your arms you got, and some string lines, and then the stands. So I'll run you through how to do that and how to set it up properly, and we'll get some measurements and I'll show you guys what you have to do. So just using a string line, throw that on the stand, like so, and take it to the back, do the same. Getting the tangles out. I'm going to pull it nice and tight, almost pulling the stands over. Just rest it up against the rear wheel on the rear leg. And bump it over till it's touching the front tyre as well, front rim. That's a good start. Now we'll go to the other side. Same again. Get your string line. I pre-cut these, but you can just run the string line around the car. Now I've got my tangle out. I normally hang these up, but I had them in the toolbox just in case I needed to do it at the track. Same again, nice and tight, back to the back. That's the string lines. So now what we want to do is jump inside, make sure the steering wheel's straight, which it pretty well is. Have a little bit of a look, make sure it's all close. So as you can see, that's got a heap of toe out, little gap down there. And we're touching on the rear here. Just have a quick look, make sure we're close. Kick the string line out a little bit. Now tap it back in. Just touching. You can see we've got a bit of toe in on the rear. To the front. Just touching. So normally you'd have it set up as a big square. So a lot of the race car guys have a big square aluminium frame, sits over the car and actually bolts to the car. But especially with drifting, when we're crashing and banging, it's not very straight all of the time. So best option I found was to just have it touching on the rear wheel, back edge, and then touch your front edge of your front wheel, because you're always going to want toe out at the front and toe in at the rear. So if that's it, then it's square throughout the car. So the rear track might be narrower than the front, and it might give you a bit more toe out once you adjust it, but that's okay, you can deal with that, especially at a track, and especially for just a quick wheel alignment. But yeah, so I'll run through. So again, we're touching on the front wheel, on the front of the front wheel, so that's showing us that we've got a little bit of toe out already. And on the back, we're not touching on the front of the wheel, but we are on the back, so that's giving us toe in. So that's good. But what we want to do is measure it and see where we're at and make sure that we're center and square. So before we start doing toe on the front and the rear, this is my trusty camber gauge. Got it off eBay. It's not too bad, adjust to the wheel height. What we're doing is getting it on 0, but in this case we'll put it on 1 degree for camber because it only goes to 4 degrees. I'm pretty sure this is about 5. So with that, put it on the wheel. And it doesn't fit, which is standard. So with that, that's showing me I have 4 degrees of camber on this side. So this one here is the camber. I set it at 1, so it's at 4, so that means we've actually got 5 degrees. So now we'll make sure that that's the same on the other side. But as I said, you can just use a straight edge, like something straight both sides, and your trusty iPhone level. It's not 100% accurate, but it has gotten me out of trouble in the past. So now we'll go over to the other side and check it. So now we're on the other side, so we'll just check our gauge on the floor. It's telling us it's 1 again, which is good. Don't need to change it. Sit it in the wheel. Wind him up. Jam him in there and do it up. And that's showing us we've only got 4.5 degrees on this side. So we might just adjust that a little bit. Okay, so using my little gauge, I just adjusted the camber and checked it. Way I did that was, I'll open this back up. On the wise fab, we got their 2 bolts on the bottom of the coilover. They generally have a little bit of a slot in them. So it's best to adjust it with that rather than the camber top like traditional, just because Wise Fab have it all set up so it's specifically going to work in that way, and the wheel is X distance in the wheel well. So yeah, best way is just to go off the coilover and adjust that little bit of adjustment out. Was only 0.5 degree, so we got that in the bolts. So undid them, slid it out a little bit and tightened it back up. Righto guys, so now I've got my little steel ruler. It's always good to have a steel ruler because you can actually see the markings on it, whereas a tape measure it doesn't quite have it. So as we go over here to the front wheel, we'll have a little bit of a look. Back this up. So just having a look, this has 8mm toe out. So that's not exactly where I wanted to be, but it has had a couple of bumps, and this side is 2mm, 2.5. You guys might be able to see that, I hope you can. So there's the 2 mark, we're just over that, we're nearly covering the 3. And then on the back, we are 6mm toe in on that side. Come around here, have a bit of a look, and on this side we are 7mm. This side we're 7mm toe in. So that's not great, but by all means not terrible. So now we're just going to go through, get the correct spanners for the front, adjust the toe. Always check your wheel because we're not on toe plates. Normally we'd have a toe plate at the bottom of the wheel so we can turn the wheel without it slipping and biting into the concrete, but we don't have them today, so we're just going to use trusty floor and hope it moves. But every time you make an adjustment, always check the steering wheel, vice versa on the other side. As for the rear, that's fine, we can just adjust that couple mil. We'll probably take it to about 8mm both sides. So that's 16 total. So that's both sides added together. It's 16mm toe in, and at the front we're going to be probably a total of 8mm toe out. But I do have it written down, so I'm just going to check what I wanted. I think that was it. But I'll check what I wanted and I'll show you guys some adjustments. Guys, so we're just going to get under here without touching our string line too much. We've got our tools. We're going to crack the rack end, loosen him up. Once I can get in here. Loosen him up. Get our spanner, I think it's 14 from memory. Give it a little tweak. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on our measurement. I might get you guys down here. So as we're going, I'm just going to hold the little ruler on the end there, and we're going to adjust the tie rod end. We want 4 mil, but with that light it makes it hard. I think that's 4.5, so we'll go a little bit more. Come back a little. Looks like it's about 4, right? So yeah, 4 mil just on the rim edge. Obviously if your rim's beaten up, it can give you a false reading, but obviously we're only doing this as a bit of a rough wheel alignment anyway, so we're just trying to make it as best as we can. So now we'll head over to the other side and do the same thing. Same again, I'm just going to crack the rack end, the tie rod end I should say, and adjust the rack end. So again, tape measure / ruler. Always check that it's on the front of the wheel as well, just in case as you adjust the toe, pulls it away, so you're not getting the correct reading. And same on the back, we want to make sure it's touching on the back of the wheel at all times. So now we'll jump up. Now that we've undone that a little bit, we'll go check on the steering wheel and make sure that that's all good. So as we come back to the steering wheel, we can see that it's turned a little bit. So we just need to adjust him a little bit, make sure it's straight, and then we go back through and check again. As you can see, we've moved that little bit, so we'll jump under here and do that one. So that's that one. We'll go back over, just check the steering wheel. All looks okay. Cruise around here. Check that it's touching at the front. Go to the back. As you can see, we've adjusted it too much. So now we want to adjust that back. Get under here again. Find your groove, fix him up. Check the steering wheel, it didn't move. So I'm just going here backwards and forwards, checking that the right hand wheel stays at 3mm toe, and then coming back here and setting this left hand side to 3mm toe. Meanwhile the steering wheel will stay the same because that right hand side is staying at 3mm. So there's a bit of backwards and forwards, trying to get it right. Takes a little bit, especially without turn plates, but if you keep going backwards and forwards, then it gets it sorted. Righto guys, so we're about to head to the back, but just to touch on caster. As for wise fab, it's pretty well set and forget. You can't really change too much, but there is a little bit of change in them. I've already set that the other day, but in case you need to, find a fixed point on the car, so like door sill, door edge, something that's fixed and permanent, maybe not a guard because they can move, but a fixed point in line with the wheel, and just head with the steering wheel straight, run the tape measure from that fixed point to your wheel and see if it's close. So if that measurement is pretty well the same, it means your caster is pretty well the same, but it's not 100% correct. Correct way to do it is have a gauge on the shock or on the wheel like my other gauge I had. Turn the wheel, set it, turn the wheel straight, and that can tell you the caster. But I set that the other day, but I won't go through that today because it'll take a bit of time. But now we're heading to the back. We'll jump under here, we'll check some toe, and we'll make this thing a bit more aggressive. So as I said about the caster check earlier for the front, finding a fixed point, we're going to do that now on the rear just to give you a bit of a demonstration and to check the rear. So normally open the door, watch out for your string line. So I go off where the hook is, roughly touch under, and just measure to your wheel. So we've got about 35, probably could come down a little. So about 1630, 1629. So now I'll head over to the other side and check it. Same thing. Go off the body, fixed point on the body. And we're at 1628. So literally like a mil, 2 mil. So that's not too bad at all. We can live with that. So now we'll move on to checking the camber. I've just gone through and checked it with my gauge, and this side is a little bit out, so I'm just going to adjust that. A little hard to get the camera in there, so take my word on it. And then we'll go to doing the toe, making sure the toe's right. Righto guys, so after some arguments adjusting the camber on that left hand side, we're now onto the toe. So I'll throw you under the car and show you just what I'm adjusting, and then it's the same as the front. We're just getting the front of the wheel this time, the front of the back wheel to come in, and we want it about 8 or 9 millimeters. So yeah, we'll get onto that now. I'll throw you under here. So yeah, same again, tape measure on the front of the wheel, and we're just adjusting until we get it to what we want. So that's 9 mil. Simple as that guys, just throw it on here again, wind it until you get it right, and then we're locking it off. Righto guys, so now we're just packing up and putting everything away. The car's pretty well dialed in, pretty well where we want it to give it a good crack on Friday. So yeah, that's wheel aligning. It's nice and easy, you can do that at home, and yeah, really sort out your car and have a very good idea on what changes do what to your car. Like if you change something, you can see how it reacts, so then you can change it back. Always keep a note on what it was, so you can go back to it if it's ever shitty or doesn't feel right. But yeah guys, something you guys can do at home. So yeah, catch you in the next one, or I'll see you out there on Friday.